It's 2025 and there are a lot of exciting investing opportunities this year. But here's the thing, not everything that glitters is gold. And there is one very important investing skill that you will need this year that is going to be the difference between you making money and losing money, between you keeping your money and ruining your entire investing portfolio. Let's go ahead and break it down. I have mentioned this before. It is going to be a very interesting year, and I have a few important stats to actually show that. And here's one of them. I'm going to go ahead and put the tweet on the screen here in a sec. And here's what it is for those who may be listening and not reading along with me. Penny stock trading is more popular than ever. Trading volume of U.S. stocks worth less than $1 accounted for 14%, roughly 14% of the total stock market volume. Okay, cool. This share has more than tripled in just 5 years and now stands at a record high. Let's just stop there. Penny stock trading is at a record high. Now, I told y'all about a month ago that we were entering into silly season due to new administration, excitement around crypto, and how everybody is just exuberant thinking that we're going back to meme stock season and fair game for everything, and going back to not really paying attention to the fundamentals of investing and just whatever happens, happens, and doesn't really matter. Nothing matters anymore. You just invest in stuff and not doing any sort of research. Well, the tweet continues. So let's keep going. Penny stock volumes, that's how much people are trading and buying and selling, are now even higher than levels seen during the retail trading frenzy in 2020. Interesting, right? In fact, seven of the top 10 most traded U.S. stocks in May were penny stocks, and none of these companies are profitable. So it was May of 2024. Look at that. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about just a few weeks ago. We are setting up to be. Okay, I was going to say we are in silly season. I don't know if it's official yet or not. There's no sign posted on a calendar or anything, but it looks like we are heading straight forward into silly season. So the skill that you are going to need more in 2025 than any other year is the ability to research. But here's the thing. Here's what makes it different than 2024 or any other year. Yes, you need to research every year. Okay, that's not new. But there is a specific way to research and a specific thing within your research. And I have 3 things for you to pay attention to. Normally, when you research, you're looking at fundamentals and what the stock is doing, all that type of stuff. Yeah, you're going to need some of that, okay? But let's start here. First, consider the source. Where are you getting your information? Who is giving you that information? That is number 1 on your list. And this is the thing that is different than what you saw in 2024 and what you saw in 2023. This is the first thing that you need to pay attention to, and this is the thing that needs to set your research apart than what you have seen in the past. Why is that the case? Because learn from your mistakes if you made mistakes in 2020 and 2021. You saw people who were unqualified, had no investing experience, no licenses, no degrees, no nothing. People who hadn't had millions, right? Never managed millions. You don't have to have a degree, but at least have some experience and say, hey, here's my millions, here's my receipts. They have none of that. They just popped up, got viral one time, and were telling you all this stuff and had never done it themselves. Okay? They don't have none of the credentials, and there were people listening to those and just followed them off the cliff and lost money because of it. So first, consider the source. Who are these people? What are their credentials? What are their bona fides? Call it whatever it is that you want to call it. Consider the source first, whoever that person is. What are their track records? What are the receipts, their successes, their failures? Are they transparent with you? All of that stuff needs to be out on the table before you consider whether or not you want to trust them and whether or not you think that source is worth it. And then make sure that you double check them. The stuff that we talk about here, I'm telling you, hey, this is where I got it from. I put the tweet on the screen for you to go and verify yourself. And then I'll put a chart up and tell you, hey, this is where we got this information from. I'll tell you this is the date that we're, the last return of whatever. And then if we make a mistake, we talk about it. I did a whole video about the mistakes that we made, right? Most people don't do that. Okay, so verify who these people are. There are a bunch of scammers out there that may or may not still exist that happened during that pandemic time. Now, I'm not saying we're going into a pandemic, but that fervor and that frenzy might be making a comeback. The question is, are you going to fall right back into that trap, or are you going to be smarter about that research process and be able to avoid it this time around and say, hey, I'm smarter now. I know how to research better now. I know where to invest, versus getting caught up and getting wrapped up in that exact same hype in the same spot, investing in something, making a whole bunch of money, and then losing it all 1 year later, or, even shorter than that. Okay. Be smarter this time around. Now, talking about research is a very big part of the course that we're doing. The whole 3-part series within the course on that. That link is right here. But let's go ahead and continue. Number 2, pay attention to time and stability within your research. There are a ton of stocks. We're actually going to talk about one later this week. One of you guys that emailed me about it. MicroStrategy is the name of the company. It has done really good in the last few weeks and last few months. But there are a lot of stocks that almost instantly take off. There's another company that did this about a year ago that take off like instantly. It's up 3, 4, 500%, and then usually not always, but usually will fall apart very quickly. Be suspicious about any stock that has a meteoric rise. It's one thing if a stock is slowly taking off but doing quite well. And there's another thing if a stock kind of has like an almost upward trajectory where it just shoots straight up. The harder they take off, the quicker they fall, usually. And I also want to see like how and why did the stock immediately take off as fast as it did. One stock like Palantir. Now, Palantir has been good for a while. Palantir has been a known name for a while, but if you go back and look at a chart for Palantir, you'll also notice there was a big gap. There was a big jump, I think right around election time. My question would be, okay, if I see that within a stock, number one, if I'm looking at that, that shows I'm doing some research. I'm looking at the past. I usually like to look at the last 6 months and look at the last year. That's just me. I would encourage you to at least do that, at a bare minimum, at least do that. But I like to do that to see, okay, what has been going on. I'm considering the source. People just telling me this stock is gonna make me a millionaire. I don't know you, bruh. Let me see your receipts. Who are you? Where'd you come from? Number 2, has this stock ever made anybody a millionaire? Because if it's down 90% in the last year, probably not. And then 2, if it did explode, why did it do that? Is it just a pump and dump scheme? Was it an event that happened? So that's what I want to see. Has it been taking off for a good while? That might mean something. That might give me more confidence in this stock. Or was it just a flash in the pan? That is what you really want to know, what you need to research and see. Because what you can do is you can go to Google, you can hit the news tab, and you can search those dates and see why that stock took off. And you will find out exactly why Palantir took off during those days, or why any company took off during that time. And you can decide for yourself, was this a one-time event, or is it truly transformative, or is it truly something that means something? For example, I talk about this stock all the time because you all know it, so I'm using an example that people know, is, and as I'm thinking about it, I'm losing it. Royal Caribbean is one that's been doing well for a good amount of time, but also NVIDIA. It's been very good for a long time now, but since 2022, when the stock was down, I think 30% or so, it's been almost, triple-digit returns? 2023, 2024, and we'll see what happens in 2025. But it's been up there for years, plural now. That's not just it just popped one time. No, it's been up there. That makes sense. That is something I can have more confidence in, though it is not a guarantee. That makes more sense, right? But a stock that just popped up out of nowhere, Super Microchip, SCMI, I think it's the stock symbol. Y'all can double check me on that. That was one that was a juggernaut, it felt like. But if you go back and look at the chart, wasn't it weird that it just exploded out of nowhere? And then what happened immediately after? it immediately crashed. Be wary of those stocks. Be concerned about stocks like that. That's not normal where it just immediately just shoots up and then how? That's not normal. Anytime those stocks happen, turn around and say, hey, this quick money is something you should be concerned about. That why do they take off like that? And should you be so eager to hop on stocks like that? Be careful. Be careful, especially in a year like this where it's going to seem like everybody else is making money. Remember what happened just a few years ago. Next one here is finances do still matter of these companies. Like the tweet said, a lot of them companies that are the most traded still don't make money. It's going to feel like it's not going to matter now and the stock is still going up. To an extent, yes, that is going to matter, right? Or it's not going to matter to an extent because people tell me in the comments, oh, this company is in debt, they don't have this, and you'll spit at me about all the stocks and financial statements, all kinds of stuff. I hear you. To an extent, sometimes I agree. However, sometimes that does not matter, but it doesn't matter to a point. To a point. You want to weigh those things. If I tell you a company has never had any customers and they've always been losing money and they don't make cars at all, but it's supposed to be the next big car company and supposed to challenge Tesla and Ford, but they never made a car, then you should be concerned. That tells me you didn't read about the company at all. There's a difference, right, between Rivian and what was the company y'all kept telling me about? There's a difference between Rivian and Lucid, two cars I've actually seen, versus the other two bankrupt companies that I can't even remember them anymore from the last the other electric car companies that y'all were trying to invest in that went bankrupt and were scams. Okay, look at those. I'll post a link or whatever they were. Those are differences because there was one that the only money they had made was from solar panels they put on the CEO's house. They weren't even cars. Okay, so pay attention to okay, are you actually making money? Do you actually have traction, or are you just just throwing the words AI in your statements just to get people to invest in you, right? I know that people, like it said, 7 out of the 10 most traded companies are penny stocks. That don't mean that you should be investing in those. Okay, just because people are throwing around memes and it looks like people who have no experience are making a whole bunch of money doesn't mean that they actually are. These are the same people, okay, that don't subscribe and ain't paying attention. Those same people that were claiming to do X, Y, and Z, that were allegedly making money back then, still going to work now. I'm not trying to be shady. I'm really not. But those same people are not that much better off unless they change their habits than where they are right now. If they were these great savants and they were amazing experts and they got all those fancy tips from people who were not qualified, their net worth has not really changed because they invested in things that went bankrupt. They were investing in companies that we knew were not great. I told y'all GameStop was not a good company. I told y'all that AMC was not a great stock and that they were going to crash. And they eventually did. They did. And y'all, people yell at me in the comments. Go back and look at the public comments. The comments on Public, the app. Y'all, people yelled at me on YouTube. And we saw what happened. Those companies are still dying a very slow death. You had AMC CEO investing in a gold mine. Come on, man. Come on. That doesn't make sense. These things don't make sense. These things look like they're going to happen again in 2025. So your research process has to be tweaked just a bit. So pay attention, not just to the finances themselves, but see how long these companies have been around, which is why I'm going to tell you up front right now, which is what I always do. But as we put out lists around the best stocks for this month, the best stocks under X, Y, and Z, I'm going to put a special emphasis around how long these companies have been good. Because if a stock takes off and it's up 1,000%, of course it's going to be among the best 5% of the S&P 500. But I'm going to look for stability because I don't want to be fooled into thinking that this is going to be a world beater or something that's going to be the next long-term stock. That's not always going to be the case. So you definitely want to be more careful this year, perhaps, than you have been in any other year. And just because something is doing quite well doesn't mean that it's going to be something long term. So be very, very careful in how you invest and who you listen to and where that person or those people got their information and whether or not those people are qualified. If you want to learn more about investing, don't forget that we are doing a workshop on investing in 2025 and how it is different. And if you want more investing tips, then you want to check out these videos right here.